Welcome to This Week in East Brunswick. Today we head to the J.B. Hunt Transport Facility on Edgeboro Road, where they participated in Wreaths Across America, a program that delivers thousands of holiday wreaths to Arlington National Cemetery, where they will be placed on the graves of the brave men and women who have paid the ultimate sacrifice to our country. And keeping in the theme of honoring our veterans, the East Brunswick Historical Society held the second part in a series of programs about World War I and the local soldiers who served. Then Al Nygren, Executive Director and Curator of the New Jersey Film Festival, stops by the studio to provide an overview of the films that will be playing at the festival. So stay with us. This Week in East Brunswick starts now.
I'd like to welcome everyone today to our Wreaths Across America Driver Key Exchange ceremony. We're very grateful and honored to have so many distinguished members of our community in attendance, along with so many veterans and military here with us today.
First of all, I want to thank everybody involved in the Wreaths Across America for stopping here in East Brunswick on their journey down to Arlington. And I'd like to thank everybody who is involved from the township in this program here today for partaking. And finally, of course, J.B. Hunt for sponsoring this event today. And here I'm thinking about the program you're doing today is actually honoring those young men and women who actually, unfortunately, did give up their lives for our country, for us to be able to look at the season we're about to face of plenty and of joy and of family and of gifts and happiness, and at least recognize that the ability for us to even have these type of occasions are predicated on the background of young kids, really young kids, who were willing to put their lives down for us to be able to enjoy that. And I think that this whole program celebrates the honor that these individuals gave to this country. And while I'm happy that there's so many people here today, I think our role as educators, our roles as leaders of a community is to do exactly what it says on this truck. Remember, honor, and teach. That's exactly why I'm so happy that we have our schools and our young kids here today mixed with all of us so that they could learn the value of honest day's work, commitment to country, honor, dignity, and more than anything else, humility. That at the end of the day, you're no more important than anybody else, and that the ability for us to enjoy these events, again, are predicated on the background of those who are willing to serve. So, again, I thank every one of you for being here today and for honoring the memory of individuals who have given so much to this country.
Churchill Junior High School has been involved with Wreaths Across America for the last 2 years. I was driving to work one day 3 years ago, and I heard a plea from one of the organizers for donations in order to be able to cover the over 240,000 graves at Arlington. I got choked up, as I am now, listening to him speak, and I knew this was something our PBSIS committee at school would be involved in the following year. We began our collections during the week leading up to Veterans Day and had such overwhelming support from our school community that we were able to donate over 400 wreaths each of the last 2 years. Wreaths Across America stresses 3 tenets: remember our fallen veterans, honor those who serve, and teach our children the value of freedom. We hope that our involvement does all 3 of those things for the students that we serve. I will be heading down to Washington tomorrow to take place in the wreath laying ceremony at Arlington on Saturday. Last year we had a number of our teachers and friends attend, and this year it is growing as I tell more people about what we're doing, and they all ask to get involved. They say a person dies twice, when they take their last breath and the last time their name is spoken. When we lay those wreaths on Saturday, we take a moment to think of the sacrifices of these men and women, say their names, and thank them for their service. It is a very moving and powerful day. Today we would like to thank our vets and our families here for their service and sacrifice, and let them know it is not forgotten.
I would like to thank everyone for being here today in honoring of our veterans, those that provided the very freedom we enjoy today. A special thanks to Tom Markarian, Director of Maintenance in the Northeast, his admin Lisa Meza, and the maintenance team for making this a beautiful celebration for us today and our veterans. I'd also like to thank and honor a veteran among us, one who has been with J.B. Hunt 25 and a half years faithfully serving. Jay Crandall, our MOC, a veteran who served in the Navy from August 24th, 1962 to August 9th, 1965 as a Navy SEAL. He was stationed on the USS Kitty Hawk. Today he remains very active and serves as the President of the Riders for the American Legion Post 960. Today he rode his motorcycle in honor of all veterans and living and resting in peace. Jay continues giving his time to veterans, hosting dinners, drives, games, and is a man who exemplifies the meaning of service. It's with great honor for us at East Brunswick Terminal to present this service of Certificate of Appreciation to Jay Crandall for his continued service and support of Wreaths Across America and just being an amazing veteran.
Wreaths Across America was founded in 1992 by a tree farmer in Harrington, Maine. That year, Morrill Worcester's company had a surplus of 5,000 wreaths, and Morrill, having visited Arlington National Cemetery when he was just a boy, had a desire to have those 5,000 wreaths placed on the graves at Arlington. The annual tribute went on quietly for 10 years. In 2007, volunteers formed the nonprofit Wreaths Across America to continue the mission, including the mantra, remember, honor, and teach. Morrill Worcester's family still oversees the foundation. In 2008, National Wreath Laying Day was established by Congress. Last year, with Wreaths Across America, more than 2.5 million handmade wreaths were placed on military graves throughout the country. At J.B. Hunt, over 17% of our employees are veterans, with an even greater number who have family that served or are currently serving. Our servicemen and women sacrifice their time and safety every day of the year, not just on Veterans Day or Memorial Day. J.B. Hunt has a heart for veterans every day, and we think there's no better time to express our appreciation than during the holidays, when so many homes across the country will have an empty seat because of a loved one that is currently serving, or they have a loved one that paid the ultimate price and made the ultimate sacrifice. We're proud to honor our veterans, as well as the veterans worldwide who have safeguarded our country to ensure the rights and privileges that we enjoy every day in this country. Today we honor the drivers that delivered these wreaths, and we honor the veterans that will receive them. A little bit about our drivers doing our key exchange. Cheryl Slingland served from 1986 to 1991 in the Army. She's a retired postmaster and has been with J.B. Hunt for 2 years. She's a valued member of our JBI division. Roland Parent is one of our veteran drivers. He served active Army until 1988. He's been with J.B. Hunt for 5 years. He's one of our mentor drivers on the GP account. Cheryl Rowland, we'd like to continue with this key exchange. If you would step towards the front of the tractor, please.
I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her today. Because there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
believe it's 100 years. First, we're going to do music. And I want to explain that music played a very important role in World War I, both in the battlefield, the home front, and many other
Today's
places.
presentation started out with music of the Great War, World War I. The music played a very important part during World War I. I had no idea until I started doing some research, and it just grew and grew. And so many of the songs from World War I were songs that stayed on for years and years, decades and decades later. When I was a kid, you'd hear them sometimes in a cartoon or something similar, and it was fun because these songs were generally humorous songs. They were also very morale boosting, and also to allay the fear of the men who were called up in the draft of World War I. Because obviously, World War I is, a person who gets drafted is obviously very fearful. The songs would allay the fear to a certain extent, generate enthusiasm, improve morale, and it would also allay the fear of those at home that Johnny will come home. And it just gives them a sense of a little bit of serenity there. And also it helped allay the fear, which I said, not the fear in the battlefield, but also the boredom. Sometimes troops would sit in trenches for hours and hours and days even until something happened. So music did play an important part.
No delay, go today. Make your daddy glad to have had such a lad. Tell your sweetheart not to pine. He'll be proud of boys in line.
At the beginning of the war, the purpose of aircraft was for reconnaissance, to see what the enemy was doing. In the beginning, they used balloons that were filled with helium, tethered to the ground, and two men would sit into the basket underneath with parachutes on, and they would report from above what was happening out in the battlefield, or how many people were in the trenches, where the trenches were, and that information was sent to the ground, either through bags with it written down, dropped below. So later on, it would only be useful up to a certain distance. So therefore, actual airplanes were necessary. And the first airplanes were strictly the same purpose, for reconnaissance, get that information of what the enemy is doing and report it back. Later on, as I indicated, planes had to be faster and stronger so they could stay away from the enemy, and also to carry machine guns. Adding a machine gun suddenly made the airplane used for offensive purposes, not just for the purpose of reporting information on what the troops down below or artillery fire.
And as you see, now also you'll notice on these airplanes, look at the beautiful propeller. It's all wood, but it isn't one piece of wood. Where's Joe? Joe the woodworker. Joe, why did they laminate the wood? Explain why instead of one piece of wood.
Because it was stronger through the grain.
Exactly. For those who don't understand, when you layer several thin pieces of wood and glue it together, it's stronger than one solid piece. And this beautiful, looks like walnut, I can't tell you exactly what it is. This was the front of that airplane. The other thing which makes airplanes sort of interesting was the engines. The engines were either rotary engines. It isn't like in your car. In your car, the cylinders are lined up in a row. A straight four-cylinder, a V8. A V8 has 4 cylinders and 4 cylinders in a row. A rotary engine on the early airplanes, and you'll see it in the next photos, the cylinders are situated like the numbers on a clock. And that engine also it was air-cooled. That was the beginning engines that they used. The one I just showed you, that one had a very powerful engine that was produced by Packard, and we'll talk about that a little further. The DH-4, which you just had now.
My presentation was about World War I, and primarily about the U.S. involvement in the war, and then also talking about the local East Brunswick soldiers that died in the war, and kind of give them a profile of what their service was, and just important information about how they died and how they served. These are the people that from this area that died in the war, and I'm going to go the order of actually how they died and kind of give you a little information. 3 of them died from disease and 1 from killed in action. This guy, August Hillier, he died early. Now what's interesting is when you look in here, it's the book on East Brunswick claims that he died from the flu. He may have died from a case of the flu, but not the flu, because he died in February, and that was before the big flu epidemic had hit. This was his draft card, and these are some of the relics that survived for each of the soldiers, and it kind of gives basic information about him. And this is a letter was received. What's fascinating about this is that when he died, he had actually he was at Camp Dix. It happened, and the brigade came and actually gave a special ceremony, which was kind of. The war started in Sarajevo. Well, actually, it started before that. I mean, there was a lot of both sides, different sides of arming each other, getting ready to create different alliances. And then what happens is you have Archduke Ferdinand going down to Sarajevo. He gets assassinated in Sarajevo, and then because of Austrians wanting to come down on Serbia, then Russia supported Serbia, which got Russia involved. And then Russia's involvement brought France and England. And then Germany stepped in for Austria-Hungary. Then you've got this big fight here. You got Serbia getting beaten up by Austria, Russia beating up on Austria, Germany beating up on Russia. Then you got France and England saying, we want to join in too. So that's kind of how it happened. Everybody had these alliances, and they had to, kind of support each other in the war. And Serbia, as I'll get in later on, took the biggest price of all of these countries as far as the dead. This gives you an overview of how the sides were divided. The black is the Central Powers, which was Turkey, Bulgaria, Austria-Hungary, and Germany. Germany and Austria-Hungary were together from the beginning. Bulgaria and Turkey came in later, in the years after that. And when you hear that Lawrence of Arabia and all that stuff, that's from Turkey's involvement, because that was the British putting pressure on trying to create a separate front down there. Also, Gallipoli was another attempt to try to create that front.
The East Brunswick Historic Society, this is the home of the East Brunswick Historic Society. This beautiful building was restored probably about 8 or 9 years ago. This used to be a farmhouse from the Smith family. This building was on a part of the property that was a large apple orchard, which many people may remember. The apple orchard is unfortunately gone, but they did maintain this building, and after a number of years it took to redo things, new floors, the outside, new windows, things of that nature. It eventually became part of the East Brunswick Historical Society. And we're very proud to have presentations here, and all of our exhibits are updated based on whatever the presentations are. We welcome people to come visit, and I found it very fascinating doing the research from my two subjects, and I hope I enthused others to take a look as far as the history of, well, whether it be World War I or some other subject. Today we're thankful we have our searches online, and a wealth of information is easily available. So it's something that I think many others, I hope I inspired others to do their search on World War I and perhaps other subjects related to that. As a result, the gentleman with me today, Brian Armstrong, he tied it into individuals who were involved from East Brunswick in World War I.
Hello everyone, it's Al Nygren, Executive Director and Curator of the New Jersey Film Festival, here today to tell you about our upcoming season. The New Jersey Film Festival Spring 2018 program will begin in January, on January 26th, and will run through March 2nd on select Friday, Saturday, and Sunday evenings. 2 programs at the end of the program will be free and open to the public. All of our programs are open to the public, but you have to pay an admission for the other films. That's $12 for the general public and $10 for students and seniors. There'll be free food courtesy of Jimmy John's on each evening prior to the screening, first come, first serve. We have 23 wonderful films that are part of the New Jersey Film Festival competition that are vying for best of prizes, best feature, best documentary, best short film. And we have films from all around the world and some of the best films we've ever received. 23 films were selected from over 400 entries. And here's some of the films that I'd like to point out to you as part of this overview. On our opening evening, one of my 10 favorite films of 2017 was the film Pluto by Tiger G. This is a film about a lonely young man who's looking for joy and wants to go to Pluto. It's a very, very surreal film. If you're a fan of David Lynch and you loved Twin Peaks when it played last summer, you'll absolutely love this film. Tiger, I think, will be at the screening. He hasn't confirmed yet, but it was really an eye-opening film by a student filmmaker. There's also a series of other really great short films playing that evening. Two Balloons by Mark Smith is a wonderful stop-motion animation film. It's a love story and really, really quite beautiful. The Inescapable Arrival of Laszlo Petrushki has won a BAFTA award, which is the British Academy Awards, and we'll be premiering that film here. It's a really wonderful, surreal film about a man who's fighting with his luggage. And then there's a really tense and riveting short film by Max Sokolov called Lockdown, and it's a really, really amazing film by a young filmmaker from Los Angeles, California, about a high school misfit, Julian, who chooses to wear a suit on picture day. A really tense drama. I won't tell you too much about it. Come and check it out. The opening night program is a really, really amazing program in general. Saturday, January 27th, features two films that are also quite special. Word is Bond by Sasha Jenkins is a very energetic film about hip-hop music and focuses on a lot of really great artists like Nas, Tech Nine, J. Cole, and Rhapsody. This film is also being co-sponsored by the Rutgers University American Studies Department. Breathless by Annalise Sisco is the short film Prior, which focuses on a middle-aged African-American man who goes through very, very difficult times on a very challenging day. Sunday, January 28th, we have two really great films that deal with universities. The first is called Clean In: How Hotel Workers Fought Harvard for a Union, and one by Rebecca Roger. Rebecca's short film a few years ago was a prize winner, and she's coming back to show us this new film. And then the feature that evening, The Lost Village by Roger Paradiso, it focuses on the changing Greenwich Village in New York City. Roger will be here for a filmmaker interview in a subsequent EBTV program, so I won't tell you much more about that, but I will tell you that it's a terrific double bill and hope you'll join us. Then on Friday, February 2nd, we have a series of short films that have a kind of science fiction feel. The final show stars Marion Ross, who was the mom in Happy Days. She's got a dilemma. She has to figure out who she wants to take with her after she passes away. It's a really very surreal film. Metavia is also an amazingly shot special effects film by Warren Flanagan, who's from Vancouver, Canada. A really amazing film by a young woman who wakes up in a mysterious temple. And then Andover is the feature film by Scott Perlman. Is about a university genetics professor who clones his dead wife. So you could see the sci-fi angle on that program. Really, all three are premieres in New Jersey. Hope you'll check them out with us. Then on Saturday, February 3rd, an amazing animation by Laura Harrison from Chicago, Illinois. Little Red Giant, The Monster That Was. It, again, needs to be seen to be believed. It's a beautiful animation film. The feature is called Getting Naked, a burlesque story by James Lester. Focuses on the neo-burlesque scene in New York City. A very sexy film and for mature audiences only. Then on Friday, February 9th, we have a series of films that deal with fish and with water. Alpha Fish by Roger Ahn is an animation film, a live action, and Roger will be here for another filmmaker interview. So I won't tell you much more about this program since I talk about it then. Then on Saturday, February 10th, we have a series of films that are short and challenging. Fractured by Arna Chun is about mental illness. Two Strangers Who Meet Five Times is a very compelling film by Marcus Marcoux from London, England. Classico by Eli Korn, he's an Israeli filmmaker from Tel Aviv, is about a complex relationship between two brothers. And then Dover for Camden by Douglas Clayton is about the revitalization of Camden, New Jersey. We have a series of other wonderful films that I'll mention to you. Starlit by A.O. is a wonderful film about a young woman who's coming to terms with growing up, and she's going to be there, as well as the director and the producer, Carrie Borchardt, the following day. And that pretty much rounds up the overview for the festival. We have 2 free films that are being sponsored by the Confucius Institute that you can check out on our website, njfilmfest.com. They're free. And of course, we have the United States Super 8 Film and Digital Video Festival taking place on February 23rd and 24th. That's our longest running call for entries festival that celebrates the small gauge medium, and hope you will join us for that. You need further information, go to our website, njfilmfest.com, or call us at 848-932-8482 for more information. Thanks for listening and have a great day.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless